Any benchers out there? Anyone find where Alphari is? Any IWDCers? Any Twitch primers? Any late night stayer-uppers in Europa? Yeah? I guess it's not that late in Europe. Any late night?
Talking about the moon.
Oh, no, not the moon. Not the moon.
Why not the moon?
Because I'm not that knowledgeable on the moon other than the fact that it's called Europa.
All right. Okay, we're just exhibiting racism against people from Europa. It's fine. Go ahead. Proceed.
Yeah. Is it? I guess you're right. It would be a race of people. We don't know what they would be. This is how we're starting off.
Organism.
People racism. Nice.
Yeah. Nice, dGon. Wow. Okay.
I'm sure that's how people associate me with.
Diana came out during Pride Month, and now what? Now we're just picking on moon people, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. If we get banned from LCS co-streaming, the mainstream's only getting like 45K these days. It's all right. We already ran it dry. So, should be good.
I gotta go.
This is a league nightmare happening right now.
Wrong podcast, guys. Wrong podcast.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
All right.
My bad.
Oh my God, we're face checking.
Yeah, we are. We're face checking into the gray screen right now.
No, it's okay. Like I know where the line is now. I was checking out some other co-streamers. I saw them calling players like mentally ill on their stream. So now I feel like I got some leeway. I can kind of unleash a little bit.
No, please.
Wait, what?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I literally just I watched like 2 minutes and they were like, Johnson is mentally ill. And I was like, okay, well, I guess the line has moved. We're a little bit harder than we were before.
That line was set?
Yes.
Recently?
Yes. Like yesterday.
Oh, the Kindred thing?
Yes.
Yeah. That's not cool. Like, regardless, like, that's not cool, and those guys should know better. And I appreciate our move away from it. Mentally ill.
I didn't say who said it. All I'm saying is like, hey, if they're going there, I can definitely say that NA macro needs a little bit of work. All right.
That's pretty strong.
Couch. I like that.
Well, no, but I use the phrasing "ill" pretty often though. I try to use it in a comedic abrasive sense, but like, yeah.
All right, nice. So I'm literally the least toxic co-streamer. That's what I'm getting out of this. Perfect. That's where I want to be.
Change. Dom is reformed. Reformed Dom. You could go to the Church of LS or the Reformed Church of Dom.
Reformed.
Well, no, I'm saying I just use it in general as like terminology sometimes. Doesn't make it right though, but
yeah. I try to stray away from it. A lot of these kids are just so young.
It's fine. Dom is just heading down the next Bart Baker path. First it starts with LPL co-stream, then it's hey, come visit us. Next he's making TikTok videos, ended up like the next Bart Baker. It's gonna be fine.
Oh Jesus! Oh please, no, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Glad we got that kicked off. Hey everyone, welcome to Facecheck episode 21 of season 3. It's week 3 of the LCS in the books. Had ourselves some streaks, some benching, some Vi, the first time competitive Vi, as well as it was said in their in this player's post game interview on their alcohol post-stream thing, alcohol sponsored post-stream thing. Yeah, it was on the Bud Light cooldown or whatever they call it over there in Madison Square Garden land.
Wait, dGon, I don't want to interrupt. If I'm doing this with my eyes, okay, I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you or that I'm bedging. Okay, it's just the light is really bright, so I'm just concentrating on your voice.
I see. All right, just concentrate on my voice, but make sure that you're still going. Oh no, here comes all the bedges. Even people in the VOD are benching right now. So off the top, we heard that the LCS postgame doesn't talk enough about TSM. Well, TSM goes 3-0 this week. Holy shit. TSM, the best team in North America. We'd have more graphics to break it down, but I don't know if your common brains would be able to handle it. But 4 wins in a row means that they're going to go win and make it out of groups through a tiebreaker once they place third in the playoffs as the 3rd seed in North America. It's going to be a huge, huge deal, making sure that everyone knows that TSM is the best. Tied with them, though. I guess not tied with them. Down 1 behind them. 100 Thieves. They go 2-1 this week after a surprise loss. Who could have seen it coming? CLG is back on board. They are stealing the fuel from Dignitas. They go 3-0. Dignitas drop 3 in a row, and this is where I want to start. They bench Joshy Boy. It's the beginning of the end. Oh, I faked this out. Sorry, we're talking CLG. Nope, we're going Dignitas. They bench Joshy Boy, and Dardoch has now been benched. We've been waiting for when it was going to happen. Here it is. Dardoch now out. Acadian now in, and 3 losses this week. 4 in a row if you count last week as well. Dom, it's time. Yep. Please give us your Dardoch rate.
I mean, well, number one, I would just like to say that, like, the Dardoch benching, like, probably makes at least more sense than the Saligo benching. I just feel like this team was overachieving. I mean, I've said this before, but they were overachieving, and then they just instantly fucked it up for, like, no reason. I think they were, like, 2-1 in the week where they benched Saligo, where it's like, I feel like when your team that should be, like, a bottom-tier team, I mean, they should be realistically, like, an 8th or 9th place team. When that team starts performing, you just let it fucking ride as long as you can. You just hold on. Just try to make sure everything's fine. If Dardoch needs to let off some steam, I don't know, you just fucking you get him a massage chair or something. Just make sure that he's relaxed afterwards. You got to do something to keep that vibe going, because, like, you are so lucky to be in the position you're in with 14 wins as Dignitas. And now it feels like they fucked it all up. So that's number one. Number two, I absolutely fucking hate when an org says this player was benched. I feel like that terminology from an organization is just, like, weird. Like, I mean, I'll say that shit. LS will say that shit. Like, people can say that colloquially in the community or whatever, but an org saying that term, it just feels so unnecessary. It seems so much harsher than what you could just say in order to potentially bring him back. Like, obviously, when Dardoch then, like, goes back, like, it's going to hit a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder to get him back on board if you ever want to use him again. If you're using the terminology like, yo, this guy got fucking benched. Like, benched sounds so much like you can just say, hey, Acadian is starting for game 2. Like, after day 1, for day 2, we're going to use, like, Acadian in the jungle. You know, he has, like, synergy with Yasui from Academy, and we think that this might be better for getting us a win. Like, there's so many different ways that you can phrase it where it doesn't sound as bad, and it won't be, like, as damaging long term to your relationship with your own players.
I agree. I think there's a counterpoint to this, though. In the event that Dignitas's benching fails, it actually removes power from them going forward. What I mean by that is, like, if they keep losing and Dardoch is brought back in, right? Dardoch then has a lot more power than had nothing ever happened before, because then they realize that there's no alternative, right? I imagine if we see this with any other benching, so, like, if Alphari, right, or VENN, like, let's say that VENN comes back, the same rings true, where the person that was benched or was removed then suddenly comes into a lot of power if they're ever brought back on.
I mean, if they are brought back on, but that's provided that they have, like, solid mental and they're not going to be spiteful at all from, like, the way you portray them to the community. And I feel like when you're dealing with a player like Dardoch, who's already so, like, emotionally fragile, like, then saying, like, publicly, yeah, he was just benched after this game, I feel like, you know, you might not get the best Dardoch if you ever choose to bring him back.
Right.
Yeah. My question is, have we had a benching of a player where they did well and then they swapped back to someone else? When was the last time that happened and there was success? Maybe, yeah. When was the last time that happened?
So a player came in, they did really well, and then it swapped back to the original player?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the closest.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Griffin.
Oh, the Doran sword thing?
Remember Doran was actually just a much better top laner, and the team played way better with him, and he could play better champions, and Chovy didn't break his back every game? Mm-hmm. Remember that one?
That's a good one.
The
sword came in, yeah.
Someone in the chat said Acadian Greg. I think that was another example of like, all right, Acadian was like one of the best junglers in the league. You guys went to finals. Okay, you're splitting time going into summer. Like that was pretty weird.
It was them two, and then they threw in Spica in playoffs. I think that's
that was like when everything just went to complete shit, and they were like, please, just anyone play.
Yeah, and it turns out it was not that bad of a decision now, but at that time, yeah, okay. Because you look at all the substitutions that have been made so far. Danny's been probably the best one. I guess that's not a sub. Yeah. You would say Abadame,
well, I mean, when you're replacing someone as bad as like Please, definitely Jesus, was, no. I just feel like it's just way easier to look good.
Come on, man. I'm trying to be good and unbiased. I'm giving Danny's good. We don't have to say Danny's good.
Yeah. And relative to how bad it definitely was, it looks like an amazing change. Like it's the disparity that makes it such a good.
You look at Jisuke's coin flipping, dude. That's what he has to play with. Oh.
Yeah, and it looks still better with Danny.
Would rather flip a coin than not have a coin at all. You know what I
mean? Jesus. All right.
You'd rather flip a coin than flip a turd. Perfect.
King hasn't looked better than Sven. Yasui hasn't looked that much better than Soligo, if at all. Pretty came in for a week for Insanity. Like some of these moves are like, hey, maybe it's I want to get them stage time, and that's how they've been, I guess, positioned by the team. But this was just straight like benched. This was straight benched, and like you said, LS, like there isn't coming back from this. Even Doublelift talked about it, right? Doublelift talked about the tactical benching on his stream and saying. They lost that one game to Janet Top, and they're like, Peter, we need you to come back. And he's like, fuck no. Like, this is just a baffling move. I think it has to be a baffling move or something there, because you now are at a point where you cannot go back and you're using Acadian for the rest of the way. And it just didn't feel like a smart long-term decision here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just see like these types of things, and it's like, I mean, the results are a lot worse, right? Like at least Dignitas, when they were running their original lineup, was winning some games. Now they literally look like they could be the worst team with the Yasui, Acadian lineup. Like they might be just the worst team in LCS, right? Like Golden Guardians beat them. And then you look at the other teams, like maybe FlyQuest could potentially be worse. It looks like CLG is starting to get their shit together, like somewhat. So I think that you went from having like a roster that was probably never going to win, but it was probably going to place like 5th, 6th, or like had enough of a lead in the standings to place 5th, 6th and like get you into playoffs, to now like you probably still make playoffs because you have such a lead in the standings, but you almost have no chance to like win like even the first series once you get there.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the issue.
Yeah,
it's also really weird, right? One of the commenters apparently was like, in some interview, the coach was like a month ago or something, right? Talking about how all the other coaches had just failed and Dardoch's behavioral issues aren't a problem anymore and all this other stuff, right? So this was in one of the Reddit comments. Now, this is pretty interesting because if we've learned anything, things are not actually a month in advance. You know, so maybe this was indeed a spur of the moment decision.
Nah, that would never happen. You got to just listen to the coach on these ones. You know, like they're the ones that have the power. They're the older ones. They're more mature. Like, surely they wouldn't have ego problems or potentially mismanage the team in any way.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I don't believe the last episode took place during this. I think I only ever talked about this on stream. Did you notice that Alphari was in the Team Liquid like management BBQ photo?
Yeah.
So my hypothesis on this is that photo and him being there would not be a thing, I think. From everything I know about player staff dynamics, right? Everything I've ever seen in esports, I don't think that would ever happen if Alphari isn't actually more important to the higher ups, like the people above the coaching staff, right? I don't think that photo ever happens if that isn't the case.
Well,
I think, I know, maybe I'm reaching, but I don't think I am. Do
you know how important
that photo?
Wait, what happens if Alphari came in and that was their way to incorporate him back into the team? Like, he's not American enough, so we need to get some like American BBQ in him, and then he's going to like understand our culture and be the best top laner possible. That's how they're trying to rehabilitate him. It's like he's eating healthy every day. Like I've heard stories of Alphari, man. He wakes up 4 or 5 a.m. like cooks himself breakfast, eats, goes back to sleep for 2 hours, then wakes up again at 7 so he can go to the gym. Yeah, so he can go to the gym. Goes to the gym, comes back, showers, starts playing solo queue for 2 to 3 hours before scrims, and then goes into scrims, right? And that's just not how it gets done over here. Like, we don't fuck with that shit. Get some barbecue in him, wake up at 12:30.
Scrims.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Sleep pass, cancel game 1, remake game 2.
Look, the best team I was ever on in LCS had Piglet on it. What did Piglet do? He fell asleep in scrims sometimes. Like, in between games, he'd fall asleep. He'd be that tired. So, like, I think that might be the recipe. Also, it was on TL, so maybe that, culture was something that they, kept. Like, this is what works for us. So.
Okay, so I wouldn't bet everything on this, right? But if like this was something I could gamble on, I would probably comfortably give odds. That's how weird I think this whole thing is, and I think that photo reveals a lot more than I think people realize. And all I'm saying is that I would feel comfortable betting on that. I might lose, right? Like I said, I wouldn't go all in on it, but I would give odds.
This is this feels very traditional sports-esque, where the owner or the general manager wants a certain player in the draft, specifically in football. You get the draft of like certain players, and then the coach is like, this is who we want. And then at the end of the day, the owner is the one that hires people. He's not going to fire their coach the day of the draft, but he's going to force them to pick that player. And so maybe it is kind of one of those cases here. But yeah, that is weird that Alphari is like
the movie Moneyball?
Supposed to be taken away. Yes, it's like Moneyball. Yes, it's like Moneyball. Moneyball is an example of it going well, right? Yeah. Moneyball is an example of it going well.
Walks in, he's like, you're playing Alphari this weekend. Jat's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, well, I just traded Jenkins. So like I guess we're playing Alphari.
Holy shit, that would be a great... I'd watch that. Breaking Point 2? I'd watch that. Holy shit. Come on, TL. We're giving you fucking buckets of content here, dude. So the benching...
top, they bring Dardoch in jungle.
Jeez. Come back, the prodigal son. He's back. Coming back to other moves here, we wanted to dive a little bit into the King and VENN benching and movement, because it's now been 3 weeks. We have 3 weeks of play here. C9 currently on a 3-game losing streak, not all of it due to King, but that is part of the factor there. And so, Dom, you also had thoughts on this move here and where we should be putting some of our stock into what this move means.
So, I mean, for me, I feel like King is kind of getting a pass because of his role. Like, because he's playing AD carry with Vulcan, like pretty good support, one of the best supports in the league. It feels like they never literally play through bot ever. Like, there's never a situation where they find it profitable to gank for bot. And then in a lot of team fights, if you watch King, he's actually outputting so much less damage than he could potentially output in these situations. And I feel like he's kind of just getting saved by the fact that he is like an AD carry, and like AD carries are relatively like plug and play. And as long as he's not shifting into like the whole enemy team as Ezreal and getting caught first and instant dying, people aren't going to really shit on him. Yeah, like he's not doing the Crowny run down mid one time a game, like, Vitality shit. I love Crowny, I'm just joking. But like I feel like he actually is having a pretty bad showing within Cloud9. There's so many opportunities where I'll rewatch a fight and I'll be like, yeah, he just missed a bunch of Ezreal Qs here. He's not putting in enough damage as possible. Like, this is an opportunity where like a better AD carry would carry the fight. And this was something that I think was kind of like underrated about VENN on Cloud9, is like Cloud9 did not have a bunch of super clean fights when they were playing with their roster in spring. Like, they would just kind of win fights by just having like better players in the moment. And I feel like King just is, he's just lost 2.0 to me. He's just a player where he's worse than he looks because of his role. And when you take away VENN from that roster, you consider him as like probably the best AD carry that there was in North America. I feel like this team is just not going to win if they keep him. So I don't know. I'm just like at the point where I feel like I've seen enough King. And normally like 80 carries fit into teams pretty well. I mean, if you look at the other player that came in, Danny, into LCS, I feel like Danny is significantly better at outputting damage. And like, yeah, he gets caught more, but it seems like his mentality is like way more aggressive and he's trying to do what he can. Where I feel like when I watch King, it looks like his mentality is he's trying to just not fuck up the team. You know, he's trying to like not fuck up the game for the team, but he's not really like ever going to carry if you put him in that position, or there's a fight where he could like just outperform, like an outplay. So I don't know. I'm at the point where I just think that like Cloud9 really just needs to put Sven back in. Like there's no way that this team is going to be better with King.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree, but I think that Sven's random benching, right? Mm-hmm. Where does it come from is the big question. There was also, I mean, there's the clip, right? And the only reason that I'm going to reference the clip is because
Max Waldo clip?
Yeah, the Max Waldo clip, right? Where Doublelift like reacted to it. And Doublelift's reaction to it, I think, completely doesn't take into account the body. Like, I mean, people can say that like reading body language is not definitive, right? But I think if you read all of the buildup and everything, it almost makes it seem like he doesn't want to accept that it is the way that it is, right? In the clip. So what is really going on with the Sven benching? What went on there, right? Is it a player dynamic or what's going on? Well, these things are all the most important. So even as Sven comes back in, what really goes on long term other than just like winning short term, right? That's the big problem, because it has to be conflict with someone.
Sure. I feel like also the thing that people need to like consider in teams is like how the hierarchy of the team works. Like there is always like an internal hierarchy in any team, right? And you would think that Cloud9,
so who could bench Sven?
Yeah, exactly. But that's what doesn't make sense, right? Because the hierarchy you would assume, but the hierarchy you'd assume would be like Perks. Right. Mithy and Sven would be like the people on that team, you know, like whatever they would say goes. Like I can't imagine the people that are like rookies that are less accomplished, you know, like Max Waldo just started like his professional like coaching career in teams, I guess like in the last year. And then you have like Fudge, who's a rookie top laner, coming in, like, you know, like Rainover, it's his first year as a head coach. So you would assume that like they would not let it fly, or like it would just like have to go through them to be able to work in the team. Which is super weird, because also I feel like since Sven has been benched, I feel like Perks has been playing a lot worse this season too. So I don't know. It seems super fucking weird.
So the thing for me is that deductive reason, like like when you look at the benching, right? You should try to limit the like. Can Fudge bench Sven? Absolutely not.
No,
there's no.
Could
way.
Blabber?
No
probably not.
Probably not. Blabber, right? So yeah. So well, right. So it leaves you with 3 people that can do it. That's it. You're left with like 3 people. Right. You're left with 3 people that can possibly do it. Right. Now, what would be the reason for literally, I don't even know, singeing your face? Okay. Like for what? You're going to lose the best AD carry in the region because of something that's happening internally. Okay. Well, what is happening internally that is going on that is so erroneous, or that's so harmful? Doesn't even make sense.
Well,
genuinely
because
doesn't make sense.
C9 has done this before, though, where they rise the value of a player by playing him and getting him reps and being like,
I think it's like almost 0% chance. Like that would be so fucked up that like I can't even imagine that. I can't imagine them being like, yeah, we actually don't think that this player is better at all, and it's probably going to make us worse, and now we won't even go to Worlds. Like I would assume there'd be way more value of like playing your starting team, being the best team in NA still, going to Worlds, like all the sponsor money that you could gain from just having that appearance, I think would be so much better for you and your organization than like selling one player's buyout, like in a player like King. Like I just don't buy that would be the case.
Right. So from anyone on the outside looking in, I mean, you're able to limit it to like 3 people, right? But Sven's a strong player in his own right. Right? He should be on the team. So something's going on. right? There's some sort of like conflict
Well,
that is obviously happening.
I wanna focus this in now just on this week specifically, like just what happened against EG, Immortals, and TSM. Like, was there a thread that can link all those losses together? Like, it's just a road bump here for them.
I mean, I didn't see yesterday's games at all. You guys might have seen the tweet. My body's just like refusing at this point to wake up or do things.
It just can't handle LCS anymore. It's literally rejecting LCS.
I woke up and I slammed my fist into my pillow like twice, and I almost started crying. Like, I'm on like, I don't even know, dude. I'm fucking emotionally very distraught over these time zones and schedules, because people don't realize last year, even though I was casting LCK, the schedule was easier, right? It was like cast LCK Wednesday, Thursday, right? And then Friday, LCS is only 2 games.
Right.
Or whatever day it was, or it was only 2 games. 2 fucking games. That's easy, right? The other days are 4 games. So everything just moved faster, right? LEC downtime into LCS was also like everything was just different. And now I'm like hitting every LCK co-stream, trying to do fucking LCS, trying to do LEC, and my body is just like refusing. And it's making me deal
that's
with
why
it.
you gotta like abuse your body, like all the crack that I've done in my life has allowed me to now go through this LPL schedule. Like, they're like, this ain't shit compared to what you've done to me before. Like,
oh my God.
It's all good.
So that's pretty much it. So yeah, I missed yesterday. And so Cloud9, I mean, from what I did, I mean, I saw clips from yesterday, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, their drafts are horrendous. But that's not the only thing that's horrendous. I mean, the pro view, by the way, I mean, I don't know if we'll talk about it much in depth, but pro views are something else in NA. That gives a lot of insight into issues that are definitely going on. But no, I mean, their drafts, their gameplay, everything's just really clowny.
Yeah. I mean, it looks really weird. I mean, they have no identity, which they kind of didn't have an identity in spring either. Like, if you remember how they used to play, they would play like a random draft or like a random mid laner almost every week. Like they would have a random Aurelia game and then like a Yasuo game, and there'd be mages, and then there'd be like a LeBlanc game. Like, they would play pretty much anything mid, but now it just feels like they actually have no identity, and then the players are individually just playing worse. Like, I think Perks is playing worse than he was in spring. I think Blabber is playing worse. Like, Blabber is still smurfing in a lot of the games in spring. I mean, it's the reason why he got MVP. It's a regular season award, and he was able to just get like a bunch of plays off. It felt like every single time he was playing against any like bottom tier jungler, he would run the whole game alone, and it just feels like he's not able to do that now. So when I look at this team, I just feel like it's almost like there are people that are on board with this VENN benching, and there's people that are not on board with this VENN benching in the team at the same time. This is benching, so. I feel like you can see like there is disconnect where like players have different identities, and it feels like until they figure out what they actually want to do with their roster and everyone's on board, you're not going to get results.
Right. And I like to call this stacking the deck, which is just making sure that everyone's aligned, right, with one ideal way of doing things. Now, the only time where you don't have to stack the deck is when you have someone who's not aligned, who's at least willing to adjust to the others, right? And the only one that we can go off of like publicly that will do this is Fudge, right? He'll pick Renekton, he'll pick all these other champions, and then he'll come on an LCK co-stream or a co-stream or live viewing or whatever, and then make fun of the champion. Like endlessly, right? Yeah. But
I mean, I think it's also good that he's like the, like when he started the team, he was like the low man on the totem pole, right? Like he's the rookie coming into a team of veterans and champions, right? So like, I think that also helps for that situation.
So I think it's concerning that like Fudge, I mean, I've said this many, many times, right? Fudge's ideology and approach to the game is very questioning, right? He's always asking questions. He's always asking why and how things work and why they operate the way that they do. If you look at his pro view, it's night and day between him and literally anyone else.
What about licorice?
I see what you did there. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Just asking your opinion, man.
Okay. That was something else, by the way. I was not expecting that when I went in to that pro view. I did the whole game, I think, actually, from his POV. But no, Fudge. So it's interesting that he's at least willing to recognize that you have to do this or everything will just fall apart. And what I'm referring to is, like, even if you don't like the champions, if it's going to cause more destruction to happen, then you have to just go along with the ride.
All right, I feel like we've been hitting this Cloud9 thing pretty hard, and I want to make sure that we have enough time to hit some of the other teams, like a TSM, which we will not hit right now because we'll wait on that. Again, I know a lot of thirsty fans, a lot of the thirsty TSM fans will just have to wait for a little bit longer. I want to hit on the other feel-good story for the day, changing tone from C9's 0-3 week into the 3-0 week, you know? CLG able to pick up 3 wins for their week and finally get something together, get something going. They pick up a surprise win against 100 Thieves. I guess a surprise win against EG and a surprise win against Dignitas. Again, not maybe the upper
any win they have
is
a surprise win at this point. Like, anytime CLG wins, that's considered a surprise win by default. That's how the team is.
Yeah, to be honest, that's not a bad way to look at things here. So CLG picking up 3, their first 3-0 in like forever. I actually don't know when their last time they won 3 in a row is. And the rocket ships have now booted off Dignitas, and now it's time to buy stonks into CLG to the moon. What did you make of this, and what did you make of their future here after a slight winning streak?
I mean, I like the approach, personally. I think that that's like what you need to do when your team is actually this bad, is you just give them easy champions and easy win conditions, where it's like you show up to a fight, they play Galio, Vi, Rakan, and everyone just goes at the same time. Kled, like all their champions are just like, just all press your buttons on the enemy team at the same time, and you know, things will go well. And honestly, this is a good enough approach that I think almost any team could do in LCS. I don't see one team, even like the best team, supposedly like TSM, 100 Thieves, I don't think that even these teams have good enough like laning and coordination to abuse picks like Lissandra, Galio, Vi, like these champions that actually have like pretty weak early games and are not the best in lane, for example. I just don't think that people have the idea of like, okay, well, they have a Vi in the jungle. What do we do? Oh, we could perma invade pre-6. Like the champion is like pretty weak. You flash the Vi Q. It's not a champion anymore. Like, let's actually group together, and like they're not gonna push the Vi out of the jungle, like 4-man tower dive the bot lane. Like, you can get away with this type of shit with how people are playing. So I think the approach is pretty smart considering how bad the LCS is right now. So, I mean, I like this type of style from bottom tier teams where they stop trying to play. Like, this is the opposite of what FlyQuest does, right? FlyQuest is like, well, we're like actually all really fucking intelligent and super good, so we can play anything, anywhere, at any time. Like, look at all of our different strategies and all of our picks we can pull out. And it's like, well, like now you guys are trying to play a Kindred Karma comp where you have 0 engage and you actually have to then rely on your setups to get you advantages in the game. Like, you don't have the easy go buttons and things like that. And then you watch how they play the game out. They get into a Baron, they just start hitting the Baron. You see like Dreams trying to start a fight so bad, he's just like 5v5 looking at the other guy, flash Q on Braum at like 10% HP. They have to Kindred ult. Like, it's really crazy like that this is what other teams are doing. So yeah, I mean, yeah. I'll take this approach from CLG. I think this is probably the best approach they could have had considering how things were going in LCS.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I think that's worrisome about CLG is that I think that the way that they draft, I think it's actually all planned. And well, okay, so what Dom's saying is totally fine. It's probably going to go completely unabused in LCS. It's not a winning formula. And if they think it's a winning formula, I think that's more problematic, but I don't think it really matters. I think if you look at their last couple of weeks and how they go about draft phase and everything looks pre-planned. Pre-planned drafts are really bizarre because obviously it's not taking into account the opponents.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was going to say. What is the opposite of it? What is the opposite of it for those that don't know what you mean by that?
Yeah. So obviously it would just be reactionary inside of the draft phase, right? Or like pivots or flexes.
An all monkey go in draft is not good in every situation. If a team has like adequate disengage and then they have like good laning counters to the picks that you're picking, I mean, if you're just picking like Rakan and Galio blind and these types of picks, like you're not going to end up with a good draft most of the time. Like there's a lot of like Rakan is pretty much only playable if like the enemy team is blinding Braum or something like that, or Tom Kench. Like it's not something that you could just pick into like, I mean, if you pick that into like a really good team with like a Nautilus or something or a Leona, like you're probably just going to get smashed spot lane and like dove on repeat. But yeah, I mean, I think that like in general, teams aren't even good enough at playing the opposite style within LCS to punish you, even if you did have a good draft. Like I think that if CLG played this type of draft into a mid-table team like Immortals, and Immortals had a counter draft, I feel like Immortals is the same way, where they have to draft like this full-on engage with like Rakan, Gragas, like all this type of stuff. So I feel like you can probably get like top 5, top 6, just all inning on this play style and just doing it every game regardless. It's like when you play like TFT, for example, and you just force a monkey comp every single time, regardless of what units you get. Like that's the equivalent of what they're doing, where it's like, yeah, it's obviously not optimal. You're going to waste a lot of gold getting there, but at least you're going to have a situation where you can, have an idea of what you are doing in the game.
Well, this is one of the things that frustrates me with Redditors, though, right? In post-game analysis, is they'll talk about a composition literally in isolation without any regards to the opponents, right? And then they'll use that as a justification to say it's a fine draft or it's a good draft. And then it just doesn't... Drafting's, I think, really weird by definition, the way that a lot of people view it or how they go about constructing or deconstructing it, right, from an analytical standpoint. But I mean, for CLG right now, some of the games that they did win, they could have easily lost. So even though they did get the 3-0, like I think it was the first game, I thought that they were outscaled, that they ended up winning.
The 100 Thieves one? That was
the perfect game.
Let me look at the let me look at the first game. Give me 1 second. I'm pretty sure they were outscaled. But the weird thing is that there were comments that were like, how does the ADC play the game or something like that, right? Against the Vi and the Galio. Give me 1 second.
Well, I think it's actually the opposite. So this is what I was talking about with Nelson. I think that what that actually does best is kill the support. Like, I think that that's actually a really good way to engage team fights, because a lot of these supports, if they're not proccing their aftershock, they're not tanky at all. So you just like Vi, Galio ult, engage on whoever you see in the front line, one-shot them, and then it's essentially just a 4v5.
Yeah. It's Set Vi, Galio, Kalista, Rakan versus Lee, Rumble, Ori, Varus, Tom, right? And a lot of the comments that I was seeing is like, how can the AD carry play? Right, but it's like, how can you actually run into defensive equalizer, defensive shockwave, kick? Like, how can you even reach Varus if he's not like uber incompetent, or like his teammates aren't uber incompetent? Like, in a real, like, I feel like you put both of these comps in the hands of like world level teams, you're never engaging. You just can't. There's just too many tools on the enemy team that will just completely invalidate it. It's just so weird. But seeing that sentiment echoed like on Twitter and in Reddit and like other places, it's just like, it's unsettling almost. Like the way that they imagine like the skill orders to like go out, or like what the screen is likely supposed to look like, right? In a standoff between these two team compositions, assuming even footing or whatever, right? I think that's really
I just feel like you never get a standoff, because in order to get a standoff, the team that is like the more like defensive comp actually has to have like good setups. Like they have to, ward their flanks, for example, make sure that it is front to back, where their carries are in front. If they are getting flanked by somebody, they have to use a champion to mark whoever's flanking them. Like they actually have to be doing that thing. And I feel like in general, this is one of the weakest parts about all of LCS. Even the best team right now, which is probably TSM, has horrible setups. No one actually has good Dragon setups, good Baron setups, and like knows what to do in these situations. So I feel like because of that, it allows CLG to just get a lot of angles that people don't see coming. Like, I don't know if teams, when they go into a Dragon, are talking about, ward our flanks. Like, who's missing? Like, we match up 5v5. Who's missing from their team? The Rakan's missing? Okay, let's find the Rakan. Like, first thing, where the fuck is the Rakan? Like you go, you ward behind you, you make sure that you have vision like on top and bottom so that like you know that you cannot get flanked, and then you just like match up and you force them to engage like monkey style when you're prepared for it. I don't think teams are good at that. So like I really think that this type of strategy should just stomp LCS.
And to be
Fiddlesticks
fair,
is good in LCS then?
that'd probably be great.
Like wait, like
No.
honestly?
Well, I mean, of course he is, but I think you don't think so?
No, I think so. I think
Oh
so.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Fiddle's insane, but I was just making a joke about the game-ending Fiddle play, that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's the type of thing that I think teams will fall for all over the place when you have like good engage from angles that people aren't expecting, because people don't actually do like they don't fight over the right things. They're not like making sure that their support and jungle are going to the side and like warding and actually removing the enemies like pinks and stuff so that they can't have that flank angle. They'll concede the flank angle because they don't want to go into that area and then potentially get caught.
Right.
I will say that in that, I guess the Dignitas game yesterday, CLG was playing with a gusto and engage. I remember they dove mid tower and everyone lived. It just played out properly with their dive. It's both Dignitas not thinking, hey, we could get dove here, and also CLG being willing to push the envelope after 2 wins and kind of feeling like it freed up the pressure that they had, knowing like, okay, we can play this. We found a style we like, and we're going to push the limits against a team that we should be beating in a substituted Acadian and a substituted Yusui. So CLG, to the moon. All of you Faith Agers, Golden Lifers, Golden Agers, this is your time to shine. Another team that has the time to shine, they didn't get enough love from the broadcast. It's TSM. TSM goes 3-0 this week. They take care of business against IMT and Dignitas as expected. But then the big match against C9. C9 maybe not so much in form. They take care of that too. They now improve to 4 wins in a row. It's a good time to be a TSM fan if you are one. TSM looks like the best team in the league. Any objections to that, guys?
I mean, I don't think that they're like, so I think that that's probably true, but I feel like the way they got there is not because they improved. Like, I don't think they're doing anything better now that they were in spring. They have the same exact issues where limited champion pools, they don't feel like they play early games super well. They never like have coordinated dives. They don't have, they do the same like jank Baron setups. I mean, the game versus Immortals, I thought that was a horrible game from them. Like they just got caught, like Lost literally got caught like 3 times in a row mid game in a 1-3-1. And they're just not able to actually like, do the correct things when it comes to like playing the map frequently. But I just feel like they're the best team by default, right? Like Cloud9 and TL are killing themselves, so then they end up being the best team because they were 3rd in spring. That's how I see it.
For me, TSM, like I think you have to remember how some of their wins came in. Like for instance, there was the Nexus race, right? Like that's really scary. That game even happens that way. The Nexus race. I think like other wins that they've managed to get this split are extremely frightening, right? Even yesterday's win against Cloud9. I mean, I only saw clips of it, right? But the context surrounding these wins, I think, are very, very important, not the wins in isolation. The most bothersome thing for me is so the fact that TSM is winning now, again, it's taking a lot of time to get through like every single pro team's pro view, right? Because free pro views are limited, right? And you can't choose which
well next week you got
winning,
is it next week your week?
Next week next week's week 4?
Week 4.
Week 4. Yeah, then I have a premium, so I can look at anyone on stream. But like I watched Stardart lane, I watched Lost lane twice, I watched Huni lane twice. I watched Power of Evil only once, and I watched Spica, I think, twice. It's rough. No one's laning on TSM. No one. Like it's like really weird. Like TSM is almost like the most confusing. Now, again, I limited experience with all the pro views yet, right? It takes a while to get around to all of them on all the different pro teams. But TSM are they're down bad when it comes to laning. I don't know.
Oh, their early games
say about it.
I mean, the one thing that they're getting away with is like other teams just like fucking up really badly. You know, like
yes,
so for example, like if you look at like their games. Well, I mean, yeah, they have no clue what they want to do early game, so it's kind of like they're all just playing individually, and then Speaker's just going to try to figure it out in game. But like,
what is going on in coaching?
Have you seen one time where TSM has executed in this whole split? Have you seen one time where TSM has executed a level 4 dive, like had pressure mid, like picked a power like a mid lane that had prio, like had a jungler that was pathing towards a lane that could build a wave, and they built a wave, brought the jungler, either TP'd the mid laner or brought the mid laner, dove somebody, and then backed out. Like that is just a standard early game play that any team in the world should be able to execute, you know, or a 4-man dive bot. Like either way, you dive on either side of the map at level 4.
Dom, you're
right. I feel like they're literally like even Cloud9 tried to do that in the game versus TSM, and they ended up only winning that situation because Fudge and Blabber like botched it. They didn't wait for perks. And because they didn't wait for perks, then they traded 1-for-1. But that's a situation where that play is uncounterable unless you TP. Like a 3v1 dive is 100% 1-for-0 if played correctly. So my issue with TSM is they don't actually have good plans in place, and teams are just going to exploit the fact that they have essentially no early game, and then they don't even have good Baron and Dragon setups, because that's what's going to actually carry you later on. Like let's say you're a team that is just shit at early game, you better at least have good Baron and Dragon setups so that when you get to that situation in 50-50 games, you just win because you're the more practiced team and you have better systems than the enemy. And then there's like other games. There's other examples of it. Last week, there was like the FlyQuest game where they ended up getting 2-for-1 because Licorice killed himself. But if Licorice didn't kill himself in that situation, then they just go 2-for-0 because they're not communicating TPs. They don't know what they're doing at the same time. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty rough.
Dom, you don't get it. The things that you're asking for them to do, 7 million. Just like force of nature.
Yeah, no, I told you, man. It's 7 million. That's why you got to go dead man's into the full AP comp.
I think there was an anecdote. I don't remember where I heard it, where it was like Bjergsen hated meetings before as a player, or wanted to get back to practice and solo queue. Okay, and then now it's just like nonstop. Like, wait, we need to have more meetings. We need to create these systems. These players need to do these things, and they still win. They're getting dubs. Well, I think.
I mean, to comment on this, I think that actually has more alarmingness inside of it than anything with that quote that you're referencing. Because if he thought that the meetings were useless, then it meant that the person who was in charge of
leading the meetings probably had shit meetings.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
That's actually what's being said. That's actually what's being said.
They probably were worthless meetings. I trust Bjergsen, like within that context, is like probably
right. No. So I don't think he realized actually. Well, I mean, I don't think he realized what was being said when that was said.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like when someone speaks without like really realizing what they said. So when
Bjergsen, are we reading too far into this? Can it just be like he realized now that he's not a player?
Take your good faith, goodwill, fucking hopium bullshit out of here, like. This is what's going on. So this is actually part of the problem. I don't think Bjergsen thinks that they're laning bad, or if he does think they're laning bad, I don't think he knows how to fix it.
Yep.
Both of them are scary situations.
I mean, I think that's like. I mean, I feel like that's something that's definitely something that you need to fix. But then the setups for me is what really get me, because it feels like they have no idea how to set up a Baron. Like when I see them start hitting Baron, like a lot of the times I don't even think that they have any idea. They're like, it's just the most basic idea ever. It's like, hey, the enemy went bot without TP. Let's go Baron. And then it's just like, we're doing Baron. But it's like, what does going Baron mean? You know, like what is the objective with hitting Baron? Are you trying to potentially finish the Baron? How tanky are you? Can you tank it? Can you deal damage to it? Like how fast do you actually kill the Baron? Is the objective to just start hitting Baron, force the enemy team to face check you? Then you like turn. If you are turning, like what vision are you denying? What pockets of vision have you created to like then make it so that your turn is actually going to be successful? And how are you going to turn? Like what ability are you going to turn on? Like I feel like none of that stuff is discussed. It's like Baron, and then we're just like doing Baron. It's like enemies bot with no TP, do Baron. It's like, what the fuck are we doing at the Baron though?
Right. Yeah. Well. So this circles back to my original sentiment though. Laning phase is the purest and most fundamental form of League of Legends, and if you're really, really, really good at laning phase, you will be good at basically every other aspect of the game. Because the questions that you have to ask yourself in laning phase, whether it's to understand how to do recalls, pulling waves relative to your mid laner or your jungler, freezing at very specific points, right? Leveraging an economy lead over your opponent, XP leads, right? All these like super minor things, playing pockets, right? All of these questions are happening very rapidly inside of laning phase. And if you apply them to the wider spectrum of the game, you get more simplified answers because the game tends to move slower in the later stages. So if you can do it when the game's moving very fast, you should be able to do it in the later stages, which is why I think that people who are exceptional laners, we see this, right? In LCK, we see it in LPL, we see it in even LEC, right? The exceptional laner players are also really, really, really good in later stages, even if they're not super flashy. And the best example I use is Fudge.
But LS, you're just biased. You like Fudge, so that's
Dude,
why.
apparently, I just become increasingly more and more friends with fucking everyone. People are just gonna run out soon. I'm friends with fucking the world.
Yeah, true. The truth is, Ellis is friends with no one. So
yeah,
that's what
actually it. Yeah, true.
Joke's on you, Twitch chat. Oh no. Let's move on. So TSM needs better systems. Purison didn't like meetings. And let's move on to another team. They made a roster swap. This is the first one, I think. I think this is the first one going back to the original player that they swapped back to. This is Immortals. They went 2-1 this week. They threw in Pretty for a little bit. They looked pretty bad, and now they swapped on over back to Insanity. They get themselves Insanity held up against Power of Evil. 5-1-7, it was a Ziggs game, but then after that, they lost that one. But then we're able to pick up 2 more wins here against a hurt C9 and a FlyQuest that is going the wrong direction. How do we feel about this Immortal squad that Gihoto is putting together here after 3 weeks?
I feel like they're probably one of like I mean, you don't really know. So, I mean, okay, so this is one thing that I just want to get out there. You don't really know who's like the one that's creating structure within the team. Like the coach could be useless, and then the players could be like the ones that are actually kind of coaching the team and deciding on systems. But they actually look to me like they have one of the best ideas of what they're trying to do in games. And like when I feel like they're one of the teams that's most realistic with themselves and their own strengths. So like, okay, so what is Revenge good at? He plays like carry tops, like get him on Gwen, get him on Viego, like our bot lane, we'll get them stable bot lanes, get Destiny with the ability to engage, Xerxes on like Rumble or Gragas or one of these champions that has like team fight deciding ults, and then have like Insanity as a flex player within your team that can kind of like do all styles. So to me, when I look at like what I would assume would be coaching, I feel like Immortals actually have like one of the best coach teams from the aspect of like they're probably getting the most that they can out of their players most of the time.
Yeah, it seems like at least one of the things, at least the going for Immortals, is that they are agreed in unison and the things that Dom is talking about. So I feel like that trait is present. I mean, I guess you could say CLG is displaying it now, sort of,
yep,
right?
Definitely.
So I mean, at least these patterns are sort of somewhat recognizable, but what does that necessarily translate to? Well, I mean, it's hard. It's hard.
It translates to being in 7th place instead of 9th. I
mean, given the fact that Dignitas and EG are slowing down, they're in touching distance of 5th place there and making it into a better seed into the playoffs, getting themselves into that, was it the 7th and 8th starting the losers bracket. So they might push their way on into possibly getting one of those winners bracket spots.
I mean, can we just say, can LS at least show his ID and make sure that he's at least 18 if he's going to be on the couch like this? Like, this is making me uncomfortable. You know, I got to make sure that, like, you know, the casting couch, you know, like they always ask for ID, like, just to make sure.
Should I pour it into the mic?
No, please stop, man. They got banned. We're all going to get banned for it. They finally got banned. Oh no! What did I start? Oh my god!
This is your fault, bro. You
look,
can do like the clicking or the nails or everything else, whatever they do.
What was the question? What were we talking about?
Immortals. We're just hitting on Immortals. I guess we could best coach team getting the most out of one of the best coach teams getting the most out of the parts that they have, similar to CLG right now, the opposite of what Dignitas is doing, and kind of
I have an idea.
like what Teal's doing. All right, you have an idea.
What if instead of Cloud9 bringing back VENN, they get Deathly?
It sounds like a less optimal idea, but I would be a fan of the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a reasonable response. That was a reasonable response.
I feel bad. The more the Deathly's in the league, the more I have to like destroy dGon every Monday, and at this point, I just start feeling guilty.
He's not even in the league right now.
Yeah, and I know, but it's like
definitely gone. Yeah, there we go.
You know, like I got to lay off on you last year when he was just in the academy the whole time, but now, I mean, it's rough. It started the whole cycle over again.
It was a split, yeah, man.
I think I have like a deathly flaming addiction. Like, you know how, you know, like if you're awesome in cold turkey for a year, then you end up like just not craving it at all. But then like once I started flaming deathly again in spring, I just can't help myself. You know, I just keep on relapsing. It's
time for cold turkey again, dude. It's time to lay off of it. Let's find you a new target to flame. Who is it? Where are we going? I have a whole list of all the players here. I mean, before it was who was it before?
Dom was gunning for Ryoma.
Sure.
Yeah, it was Tommy Boy. He's not. Is he still? Yeah, because they cut Devontae. Oh, big sad.
The topic we had right before we started airing, like, jeez.
Yeah, that's
the casting couch.
Oh Lord.
Anything to not go back to OC.
How many teams we got left? Let's dive into 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves, they have themselves a 2-1 week. They get shocked by CLG, who could have seen it coming. And now they find themselves one game back of TSM, but still currently, I guess, the best shot at catching TSM because they're trending upwards compared to C9, Team Liquid, and Dignitas.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like they're probably the second best team in the league right now. Yeah, I don't know. They seem decent. I don't know how coordinated they are. I mean, I see like they still make a lot of mistakes. Like even the FlyQuest game, I felt like they should have just won harder based off that first 2v2. Like as soon as they won that first 2v2 in River, you kill both people and you have like a Zin Rise Cup. I just don't think you should be giving back control. But I think overall, I guess they're better than the other teams, right? Which makes them the second best team. I mean, honestly, with how things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if EG was like competing for second and third. Like EG might be actually a better team than C9 and CL right now. It's rough.
Yeah, I think that the weeks are really inconsistent for everything. Everything's up in the air. I mean, I think that over the last 2 weeks, I think 100 Thieves has actually probably looked, honestly, the better than I think anyone else, regardless of what the end results end up saying. I think just in terms of gameplay, but I don't know. Well, we'll see, right? Next week we'll see if anything is going to change. Is VENN going to come back? Is a big one, right? Is Dardoch going to come back?
Alphari.
Yeah, Alphari. Well, Alphari's on. Well, he's on break.
Oh wait, no, it's the fifth week that he comes back. True.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
And the reason why we're diving a little bit deeper into this is because it's the first third is done now. Every team has played every team. So I think if you're a Cloud9, you're like, hey, let's give King his run or whatever. He got to play every single team in the league. You should kind of know now, like, okay, this is what we got. This works for us. This doesn't, or maybe there's situations. So. That's why I keep diving in. And the only two teams that had more than 5 wins were 100 Thieves and TSM. So at both 7-2, no teams had 6 wins here in the first third of the season. So that's kind of like why I'm diving in here on like these overall kind of views of like, you know, 100 Thieves, TSM, C9. I guess we haven't dove into TL yet, but like kind of wanted to go deeper into it with the 100 Thieves because they are 7-2. They made the swap from from Devontae / Ryoma to Abadage, and they've looked great. And also, it seems like you could see the weight being lifted off of Closer, off of Someday to make shit happen, because Abadage, he's played the Karma in week 1, showed the Akali week 2, and now showing, hey, look at this versatility of a guy who can play multiple different types of champs to create a different persona per week, per match for 100 Thieves.
Yeah. I mean, I think 100 Thieves definitely are in a better spot than the other teams, especially because, I mean, it feels like they're at least solidified in their roster, which is probably one of the most important things in LCS right now, where all these teams are changing rosters and it's really fucking crazy. So at least if you know what 5 players you're playing with, you can at least start like getting comfortable with your own team. And now like the team can understand like what's Abadage's strengths, what is his weaknesses, like how does he want to play as a player, how can they get the most out of him. So I mean, at least from that lens, I feel like, yeah, I mean, it looks like they're probably going to be competing with TSM to win the split until we see other changes from teams.
I mean, I agree with all these sentiments. I mean, I think that, I think the top 3, no matter what, though, by the end of summer, will just end up being 100 Thieves, TSM, Cloud9, unless Alphari comes back. Then it goes for a little bit of a ride. I'm not super concerned with anything that happens in the in-between. I think, once we start getting to like week 7 or whatever, then we probably have a better idea of how everything's going to go. And playoffs is a whole other beast.
You know what's really crazy to think about, though, right? Like, with how these teams are playing and like what their schedules are, you only actually have like from now until week 7, like when week 7 starts, you're gonna have 9 to 12 days worth of scrims. Like at the beginning of the week, of the beginning of the 7th week, you're gonna have only had 9 days of scrims in every third. So like you don't actually have that long to improve if you haven't settled on anything by now. It's like really hard. I mean, the thing that's true though is like since the level is so low, like even if you just improve like a minor bit, like a small bit, like CLG did, it can actually make a huge difference in the standings. But you actually don't have that many days to like iron out your situations. Like let's say you worked on, one concept each week. You're getting 3 concepts in by the time that we're having this episode 2/3 of the way through.
I never thought of it that way. Yeah, I guess with the scheduling and how like players scrim, you can't usually work after matches. Not normally. I mean, there are teams that had done that, but
Riot released a tweet, right, about the Ruination thing. Hold on one sec. Let me look at it. I think this actually matters for summer though.
I literally thought it was Legends of Runeterra or something. I have no clue what's going on.
No. Is it Legends of Runeterra? No, it's not. Okay, so the Flames of Ruin Ignite and Rise of the Sentinels coming to July 8th, and then they just tweeted something in, I think, Latin?
Alice is literally a detective at this point.
I don't know. So basically, I thought on July 8th, is that the coming of the new marksman? Isn't it Ash Khan or something?
I have no idea, dude. It's literally LS, aka literally Sherlock.
All right. So it's already been leaked, right? There's like a Reddit/r/Ash Khan mains or something. He's a Shuriman Light Sentinel, which in the lore, the Light Sentinels are like the people that fight back against Viego. But anyways, we're supposed to get 2 new champions this summer, plus the Tom Kentry work. And I wonder how that affects pro play.
I mean, yeah, we'll see. I mean, they'll probably be available by spring of 2022, so should be good.
Oh, true. Okay, yeah, I didn't think of that. Maybe summer. Maybe summer, depends on bugs.
I mean, think about the fact that when Yone was released, right, and it wasn't even available at Worlds.
Dude. No, you just actually... That's scary, yeah, because if they come out in July, Yone came out in July.
Wait, did it? When did Yone release?
Yeah, Yone is July 13th, I think, right?
This is not good.
August 5th, but that's still like before playoffs, right?
Okay,
like, pretty
much.
Was
that might be the last
one. Okay.
right? Because the champ that came up before Yone was Lilia, and Lilia was playing a shit ton. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is coming out in July. There's supposed to be the third, which is going to be a gloomy Yordle. That is how it was described.
I thought it's Yumi's owner.
You're in the deep cuts here. It just says in this thing I'm reading.
It's the artillery mage. Yeah, it's so both of them are mid laners.
Oh,
the Light Sentinel Ash Khan is supposed to be a marksman who's designated to mid lane or intended to be mid lane, right? Which
C9 coming back.
Yeah, there we go. And then there's I thought it was Nora,
and then it's an artillery mage. So it's written. It's going to be C9 versus TSM finals. Holy,
there it is. There it is.
PoE and perks getting a buff from Riot Games.
Yeah. Right before. And hopefully they'll be allowed to use it because, again, we've seen the release calendar not always work out with the esports calendar. All right. Detective LS on the case. Mm-hmm. Another team that we hit? Is there anything we hit? I guess we didn't hit TL.
I want to talk about FlyQuest, man.
All right, hit FlyQuest. Hit FlyQuest.
I mean, so I think that this is an example of the opposite of Immortals, where this looks like one of the absolute worst, teams from a coaching standpoint. I feel like there's like no identity of the team and there's no idea of like how they want to play the game. They essentially run like a completely different draft. Like every single game, it feels like different. You have just different goals in every single game they enter. I mean, obviously there was the Kindred Mark thing where, I don't know if there's communication issues. I really just wonder what was said in voice comms.
No, I mean, God, dude. The thing is like I have such little faith now in like the Reddit comments are really weird, right? Because you can't actually think that pro players think a lot, right? All you have to do is watch a couple of games and watch how they build. Like it doesn't. Like there's
or they're just thinking about other things, right? Like they could be thinking
a
lot about the wrong things.
Right. They're prioritizing a lot of wrong things, or they're actually just not thinking, right? I genuinely believe that he blanked that Kindred Mark.
Of course,
was like a thing. That's what happened. Yeah.
Of course, anyone who's been in a pro game knows that you've done.
That takes. Oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah, of course, but like the idea that he's actually trying to like
you
lose the game, like come on, that would be such a ridiculous thing to claim.
This is what I need in my life. Okay, I need for Spica to play Ivern, and then for fucking Lost and Sword Art to try to leash him.
I mean, he should just do it and then tell the team that he needs a leash, and then see if they recognize that it is actually unleashable. I don't know.
They're like happy with each other. Like, okay, yeah, we got you. Like friendship.
No, it's absolutely crazy. Like, I mean, I've literally played Ivern in NA solo queue, and people try to leash you.
And when people try to leash me, fucking that's it. Check mark. The person's never getting a gank. Like, if I hit someone with Q, they're not right clicking. I already know. Like, they don't know what my shield does. Oh, it's terrible, man.
Well, my new thing is like I try to just bait my teammates by saying something that sounds like it would be correct, but it's not actually in the game, and then just see how they react. Like, I'll be playing Viego and I'll just be like, yeah, like the reason why I'm building like this is it becomes really OP when I take this champion, and it's like they don't even know that I get the champion's items when I actually take possession of a different champion. So I think that's the best thing to do is you really confidently like state things and like reasons for it, and then see how willing people are to accept it.
Most people do accept it, though. That's part of the problem with most things. Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, this is just one of those things where like the team is obviously like super uncoordinated, but I feel like the reason why this team doesn't improve is because they do a different fucking thing every game. So like, what are they actually taking from these games? And like they're able to learn from it and then apply it to the next game, right? Like if they play that game on, so let's say they played just the last two games they played, right? So they have that game where they have the like Silas, Sejuani, whatever, like game where they're playing like supportive jungler, they're playing melee, top and mid, and then they go for like a gank mid at level 3, they completely like botch it, they lose that situation. And then they're like behind and they have to try to like make comeback plays. It's like, okay, so then how are we playing with a Sejuani on our team? Like when we have a weak early game jungler, what does that mean for our team? How are we going to play with that? Then the next game, they play like Kindred with Karma, which is completely different. Like you're going to get completely different information from that game. Like you're not going to be able to apply anything you learned in the previous game to this game that you're playing now. So I feel like they keep on just going from like comp to comp to comp to comp to comp, that they all have completely separate win conditions, so that they don't even have like ability to learn from their mistakes or like apply whatever they learned from their mistakes to the next game.
You think there's a worry that you're kind of caught into playing a specific style? I guess it's CLG, the one that broke the mold and was like, hey, look, we're going to engage on you. That's it.
I mean, you don't need to be like, I mean, if anything, if we've learned anything from like League of Legends history, is that you don't need to be proficient on every style possible to like win an LCS title or win a world championship or anything, you know? Like you have to have like a couple different things you can do, and then you have to like master them. Like when you look at TSM last year, right? Like the team that won LCS, what did they do? They were playing a style that doesn't even make that much sense. I mean, but they just played it well. Like they knew how to play these comps with like Zillion mid, and then they would just like play, you know, they would play champions that would synergize top and jungle, and like essentially Broken Blade function as the carry for that team throughout LCS. So yeah, I mean, I just think that like the way that FlyQuest is approaching it is like, okay, so you're just going to be like, so you just want to be a jack of all trades, but like not even like master of them, like not even good at any of them. Like it's just really fucked up to me.
Well, the hope here is that they can get something going here, because again, I feel like Palafox and Jose Dioto, like the whole screams of free Jose, liberen Jose is just getting louder and louder, because the squad that has counterparts just can't put it together from week to week. They had their marquee win last week against TSM and just lost to Golden Guardians afterwards. So it's just, this is a team that has a lot of potential, and they could beat some of the top teams, but also can literally lose to the last place squad. All right. Is that all of them? Do we hit all of them? Chat, do we hit all of them? Ellis, did we hit all of them? I think we did.
I think we hit all of them.
EG?
I think we hit all of them.
I think we didn't talk EG.
That's right. Let's talk about EG Coin Flipper. No, not Coin Flipper, Jizuke. The most entertaining streamer in the LCS, Jizuke, as he and the rest of EG pick up a couple of wins against a weekend Cloud9, and also a just generally weak Golden Guardians after dropping a match to surging CLG. What do we see from Evil Geniuses after the first third of the split? I think sitting at 5-4, I believe, is what they are in the first half. 4-5. They're 4-5.
The coin landed on heads last week, so you know it's all right for them. I feel like these games are actually super strange. Like if you think about the game of EG versus Cloud9, like this game is super losable, but somehow, I mean, I was watching Jizuke's preview, so I have no clue what actually happened because he doesn't actually look at the map, right? But I mean, from his perspective, it was kind of crazy that like his team just won a 3v4 fight where he just didn't even have mana, wasn't basing his TP or anything, and then they just end up being like, yeah, just super ahead in that game. I feel like they're another team that's just profiting off the fact that they didn't make like really big roster changes in terms of like how their team is going to want to play. You know, I feel like Danny is just going to be able to do whatever definitely did, but slightly better. And the rest of the team can at least exist the way that they did previously in spring.
EG just feels like a better man's FlyQuest or Immortals or something. Like it just feels like a better version of that, because it just feels like they have better players. But there's nothing that I think separates or deviates in terms of like an identity, because I think that they roller coaster swing pretty consistently themselves as well. So it's kind of rough. I mean, this is the problem, right? With most of the middle of the pack NA teams, is that they're all pretty much the same. They're just slight power grades more than each other. But it makes a really big deal in this region in particular.
Dignitas.
The thing is, like, it's also good for EG that the meta is what it is. You know, like when you have this open meta where, I mean, like essentially right now, Like, you can just probably blind pick Rise every game for Jizuke, and he's never going to get a matchup that's, like, unplayable, and he'll always be able to, you know, play something that's one of his better champions. So I feel like the meta being what it is actually pretty good for them.
I was going to say Dignitas is the, I guess, the goal of what Immortals and CLG and FlyQuest are trying to do right now, or what they've done. Maybe not right now after a 4-game losing streak, but getting all those parts together. It'll be interesting to see if Dignitas revert back to one Max. Oh, fuck, I forgot Saligo's last name. One Soy Luigi. One Twitch Rivals champion. The only Twitch Rivals champion in the LCS. Or in the LCS. I think he's the only one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Those are all the teams. We hit them all. LS has a time limit here, so we've got to get bouncing here. The couch is going to be used for other things, right, LS?
Especially fighting.
We didn't hit TL. We didn't hit TL. Let's hit TL before.
Did TL hit TL? I mean, I'm not.
We did talk about the photo. We talked about the.
Oh yeah, we talked about
the photo.
I mean, they're a mess. I mean, just bring back Alphari. Can we?
Perfect. That's all I gotta say.
There we go. You know, I mean, no. Unironically, though, I mean, they need to bring back Alphari, right? Did you see Core JJ's thing where he said that he wants to win Worlds from NA?
Oh no.
Yeah, well, maybe it starts by not even kneecapping your team, but outright just like
amputating your legs, like just amputating both of them.
He's already won one. He's doing it in hard mode. This is a new game plus here for Core JJ.
This is hard mode. Yeah. Yep. Jeez.
All right. Well, TL. There it is, TL fans. That's
just bring back Alphari. That's all I gotta say. Please bring back Alphari. Like, oh man, did you see the Jensen like Santorin synergy when he's playing? He's playing GP into Gwen, and everything was perfectly set up. Oh my god, please just bring back Alphari. Like, you even want to play Gangplank as a team. Like, he is the best Gangplank that you'll find in LCS. He will win you the game alone.
I was gonna say Thomas's Gangplank went 1-1-7 against Licorice, man. Like, you don't believe in the Bobby J? Bobby J has played and lost a lot on GP and Academy to the point where he can hold his own against a world's caliber player like Licorice. Oh, we lost LS with that one.
I mean, he threw his lane versus Licorice. He's like literally a Licorice tear top laner right now.
All right. I threw that one out. Not going to work.
It looked like more Dedge than Bedge, but you know what? We'll take it.
It's gonna, you know.
Someone's going to make Dedge there. Enable that one for next week. All right, y'all. What's your schedules? Where can people catch you, LS, this week?
I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I do LCK every day that it's on. Other than that, I don't know yet. I gotta figure out. I don't know. I gotta have like a sit down and then probably make like a YouTube video on what I'm gonna try to do with my schedule, because obviously my body is not keeping up with it anymore.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Make sure you don't
crack resilience, bro. I'm on the LS schedule these days.
Dom, what you got this week?
So I do LPL 4 days a week. So I'll be doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday are killer because they're 3 sets. So yeah, 3 best of 3s on those days. And then LEC, LCS as always. And then I have grabs on the Crackdown on Wednesday. That's pretty much it.
All right. You can catch me in our post-game interviews for the LCS, as well as I'm going to try to get a sit down with a couple of the orgs this week. See if we can start pumping out some behind-the-scenes stuff with a couple of the teams. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll catch y'all next week for week 4 of the LCS. Hope you have a great day. Make sure to wash your hands and be safe. See ya.
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel dGon Gonzalez, esport expert of Esports. If you want to try to catch up with me and my big brain knowledge and everything that I provide to every broadcast I'm ever on, click subscribe and watch yourself some of these videos right here. They're by people that are even smarter than me. I know. I didn't think so either, but they are, and you should watch them.